Today I'm going to be fixing a coolant leak on this 1993 VW Cabriolet. As you can see right here, it is leaking out of the head, and I'm pretty sure that the only thing that I need to replace is going to be this coolant flange right here. Now I know this is plastic and the plastic ones kind of suck, but I haven't found a good metal replacement yet. If I find that, I'll be certain to make a video for that. For this repair, you won't really need any fancy tools. I just have this hose clamp plier on a cable right here, and then I also have this one that's just normal pliers. And these both will make this repair a lot easier. In the process, some coolant's gonna come out, so make sure you put something to catch it underneath the vehicle. Stuff's not good for the environment. We can get started by disconnecting these sensors. You just push in, and then you pull straight up. Same thing, push in and pull straight up. Tuck these to the side here somewhere. Now we're on to the hose clamps. So these things definitely are a little bit annoying, but with some hose clamp pliers, they are actually really pleasant to use. I got a little bit of silicone spray right here. Spray the whole area, and we can just grab them. And just carefully slide them on over. Disconnect the second one. That looked a little bit difficult, but I was doing it one-handed, so these pliers do a really great job making this job easier. Those of you with vehicles that have an engine oil cooler will have another hose that runs down to the oil cooler, but this vehicle doesn't have an engine oil cooler, so now we can just crack these hoses loose. For that, I grab a set of pliers. You can kind of wrap them around here. Crack loose, and then let's do this one. There we go. These pliers, as long as you don't squeeze it too hard, don't do any damage to the hose, which is really nice. Got a little bit of water coming out there, that's no problem. 10mm socket to get out these bolts. There's one more diagonally over here. All right, let's inspect. I don't really see any cracks or anything in the plastic. The gasket was a little rough though, so let's just hope that was the issue. Give this a good cleaning. Might be a little bit hard to see in the video, but there are a couple areas here where there's some sludge that built up. So to get that off best, I just use a razor blade. Just carefully go over everything and make sure you kind of get rid of all that. Now I'm going to change over these sensors into my new piece. Pull out these little plastic clips. And then carefully wiggle out your sensor. The blue one is closest to the aluminum head. Give them a good cleaning. This part came with all of the extra gaskets and plugs, except for I dropped some. Aha, there it is. I lube all of my gaskets with some silicone because it just makes them work better. Otherwise you risk tearing it up. Oh, I pushed the gasket in there, just like that. Same for this one. Same for the last one. Grease up the sensor just a little bit. Slide it on in. Might take a little bit of effort. There we go. Same thing for this one. A little bit of grease goes a long way. Also make sure that this little plastic nub is facing the engine block. Grab the new clips. slide those on in. Just like that. Now the bottom. Last little bit of grease from my hands here. Slide this plug on in. This gasket we will also grease. All right, I like to apply a little bit of thread locker to these coolant bolts. They don't get torqued very much, so I just put a little bit of thread locker on to make sure that they're not coming out. Grab our flange. Put it in place and put our bolts in. Always make sure to start these and screw these in quite a bit by hand. Otherwise, you don't know if you're cross-threading it. You're putting a steel bolt into aluminum. If you cross-thread it, it's going to be a bad day. Torque for these bolts is 10 Newton meters or 87 inch-pounds. Grab a little bit more silicone grease, and now we can just put a dab right around this little lip right here. And on this one as well, it will make the hoses slide on a lot easier. Grab your hose, slide it back on, boom, like butter. This one as well. Grab our hose clamp pliers and put these clamps back in place. When you're messing with these hose clamps, always make sure that you put these little ears in a place where you can get to them again the next time you need to work on it. Let's see if I can't put this one back one-handed again. There it is. Don't forget to reconnect your sensor wires. Now we can top off our coolant system. When you're diluting coolant, make sure to always use distilled water. It's really important that you use distilled water, otherwise you ruin the anti-corrosive properties in the coolant. It's a little hard to see, but the coolant is right now between the min and the max, so we'll start the vehicle. I'm letting it run until this radiator fan comes on because then I know the thermostat had to open. And then I know coolant is cycling everywhere. I took it for a spin and as you can see it looks pretty dry. There's a little bit of water right here, but that's because I had actually sprayed some water with the hose to wash all the coolant off. But if you look down there, there is no more water just sitting down there. So it looks like we fixed the leak. Looking at the coolant level here, it's a little hard to see on camera, but it's right at the min mark. The only thing is you do not want to top this off when you just drove the car, because if I open this, the water's going to boil out. So hot boiling water is going to come out and it's going to go all over my hand, and I definitely don't want that. So we're going to let this cool down, then we'll top it off and call it another repair complete.